Offense usually takes the spotlight when it comes to Pokemon. I'm guilty of this myself. I love to create a powerful Pokemon who can destroy a team. But defense is important too. It's just as satisfying to create an immovable object that can pilot its way to a win. I'm playing in the Smogon Champions League in the NU tier, the 4th tier, as I try to help my team win a championship. Every week I play a best of 1 versus the other top players, and this week I was interested in the titanic core of Avalugg and Chansey, the 2 best defensive Pokemon in an NU context. I head into week 6 of the tournament trying to build my first defensive team of the season. My team starts obviously with the defensive core of Chansey plus Avalugg. Chansey is the ultimate specially defensive Pokemon. With Eviolite, it is literally the most specially defensive Pokemon in the game, let alone NU. However, it is somewhat weak physically, and that's where Avalugg comes in. Avalugg has one of the highest physical defense stats in Pokemon. Together they combine to wall everything. However, there is a reason that they're NU tiered Pokemon. They both suffer from being passive. That means while it's true that they do stop a lot of attackers, they don't do a lot of damage back. Building around this core is about mitigating those flaws and taking advantage of its strengths. If you don't, you can lose miserably. For my team, I teach Chansey Stealth Rock, Thunder Wave, and Seismic Toss. The goal being to teach Chansey supporting moves that don't depend on its low offensive stats. Similarly, Avalugg has Rapid Spin for hazard control and Body Press, a move that uses the defense stat for damage. With those 2 Pokemon, now it's time for some offense. I add a Life Orb Toxicroak with Close Combat and interestingly Ice Punch purely to hit Gligar, a top Pokemon who would otherwise shut down Toxicroak. Then I add Sucker Punch with Terra Dark to help me beat faster Pokemon. After that, there's a substitute Nasty Plot Mismagius. The key here is that it's Terra Fairy with Draining Kiss, that way I can turn into a good defensive typing and heal back all the damage I took while setting up. From there, there's some pivot Pokemon to transition from defense to offense. First is U-Turn Spike's Gligar, a staple Pokemon in NU. It can tank hits and then U-turn into my powerful Pokemon. And last but not the least, we have Hisuian Electrode, another Pokemon that I haven't used yet. Like Gligar, Volt Switch Electrode lets me pivot in and out while also giving the team a fast Pokemon. With Thunder Wave and the static ability, its ability to control speed helps the slower Pokemon like Toxicroak or Mismagius who don't have their own ways to boost speed. And that's the team. A lot more defense than I ordinarily would use, with 2 defensive Pokemon, 2 support Pokemon, and 2 offensive Pokemon. I head into week 6 with an almost stall team. My opponent is also using a Chansey team, but with Glastrier as a physical defense counterpart. It's a lot more offensive than mine with Pokemon like Scyther and Mesprit. Mesprit in particular is well known for its versatility. It can do anything from Stealth Rock to Choice Specs Attacker to Nasty Plot Sweeper. I lead Avalugg because I want to be well positioned versus Pokemon like Gligar because I think Gligar is a likely lead because it can start off a game by getting up hazards and using moves like Knockoff or Toxic. They lead Skuntank, which is often physically attacking, and because they can't touch me, they switch out to Mesprit. I'm not sure what to make of the Mesprit. It reveals it has leftovers, so that's a hint, but I stay in just to get some more damage off and try and scout what's about to happen to me. 13. Leftovers, okay. Leftovers could mean a lot of things. It could be Nasty Plot. If it's Nasty Plot, Nasty Plot Psyshock would be annoying. Do I want to Ice Spinner for damage? What if they hit me with a Psychic? I know it's not Choice Spec, so I don't have to be too scared about it. Let's Ice Spinner. It's Nasty Plot, okay. 26, okay. But then it uses Nasty Plot, and I'm in a bit more trouble than I realize. I quickly switch to Chansey to take on the Mesprit as it uses Nasty Plot again. The Mesprit is getting out of hand, but at least I can paralyze it with Thunder Wave. Or so I think. He reveals Substitute. Let's see if they have Substitute. Seismic Toss here. Psyshock, okay, not that strong. We might have to give up Chansey here and be okay with that because they don't have a lot of other special attackers. Okay. Fortunately, Chansey is so tanky that even through Psyshock targeting the physical defense, it doesn't do a lot of damage. But because Chansey is so passive, I can't do a lot of damage back, and Substitute protects it from Thunder Wave. The rest of his team is pretty physically offensive anyway, so I'm okay with giving up Chansey just to remove the substitute of Mesprit. I do that, but I still have major problems. None of my Pokemon have the immediate power to deal with Mesprit. That's inherent to this style of team. You trade power for defense and you back your defense to hold up. But if it can't, then you're in trouble. Now, if I go to Mismagius here, they're probably going to Terrestrialize. I mean, if I can force them to Terrestrialize, that's fine too. Do I go to Electrode? They're probably Terra Fairy with Draining Kiss probably. Do I go to Toxicroak so I Terra Dark Sucker Punch? But they have Substitute. Mismagius first for the Shadow Ball damage. I go to Mismagius and Mesprit's likely going to Terrestrialize out of the Shadow Ball weakness, but I don't have a choice anymore. At least let me force a Terrestrialization. If I change it to a different type, then maybe Toxicroak can beat it. Anything really. But to my surprise, they don't Terrestrialize, but Mismagius is so weak, it doesn't knock out Mesprit anyway. Shadow Ball, 64 only? That's really tanky. Let's go to Electrode now. At least we've weakened the Mesprit, so we go to Gligar. Finally, I'm in a position to knock out Mesprit, but then they switch out to Gligar. There's not a whole lot of value in keeping Mesprit around at such low HP, but maybe they have a Healing Wish on Chansey or something. But for me, it's a luxury to even think that far ahead. I've already lost a lot of my team with basically nothing to show for it. I have to refocus and find a way to come back. My plan is to use my Terra Dark Toxicroak. With Swords Dance and a Terra Dark, I can knock out even Pokemon like Scyther. And because Mesprit is weakened, even a move like Ice Punch would knock it out. But where do I create the opportunity? I don't have a Pokemon with a move like Memento. I have to rely on my typing alone to find a chance. Maybe I Terra Dark versus a Mesprit using Psyshock, or maybe I try and bait in the Skunk Tank and set up on that. I'm not sure. But an opportunity presents itself. Maybe, just maybe, I can set up on the Chansey. Chansey probably has Thunder Wave, but if my plan is to win with Sucker Punch anyway, then the speed drop doesn't matter. I go for the Swords Dance on Chansey, taking advantage of the fact it can't do much damage to me. It paralyzes me like I somewhat expected, but I didn't think I could realistically find another chance to do it. At this point, Terra Dark Sucker Punch has a 25% chance to knock out Skunk Tank. My odds are running low, but I still have a small chance of winning. Close combat here. And we have Terra Dark Sucker Punch. They go to Skunk Tank. Okay. It took damage. This has a chance of KOing. Do I go for it? Let's try it, because Avalugg might be able to take on the rest of the team. Maybe. No! That had a chance of KOing. But it wasn't meant to be. I get paralyzed and faint to Skunk Tank using Foul Play. But at least maybe Avalugg can win. Body Press and Ice Spinner can do some damage maybe. But then they reveal their Glastrier is Terra Ghost Iron Defense Body Press, which means I never do enough damage to it. To add insult to injury, it also means my Toxicroak never had a chance either. Glastrier would always Terra Ghost and Iron Defense to the maximum. I struggle around for a few more turns before it's over, but I lose in a blowout and drop to 3-3. Our team would lose the week 3-7 too. But that's the beauty of it. These games are live and unscripted. This isn't a movie and there is no guarantee of a happy ending. Just like how I'm trying my best to come up with new innovative strategies, there's someone else on the other side doing the same thing too. It's why playing versus other players is so much more satisfying to me than playing against the in-game AI. It makes the wins that much more real. In any case, the playoff race is heating up and there are 3 weeks left to make the top 4 and qualify for the playoffs.